Back in 2013, Target spent billions expanding into Canada. I
Yeah.
mean, it's practically right next door, right?
Big.
But they just spectacularly retreated.
Right. Yeah, it was a massive failure.
And then meanwhile, you look at Domino's Pizza, and they cross oceans and absolutely dominate entirely foreign markets. So why does a simple border crossing completely change the laws of business gravity?
Well, expanding internationally, it looks like just a simple geographic step. But beneath the surface, you're stepping into this maze of fierce competition, political walls, and cultural landmines.
Wow, landmines. That sounds intense.
It really is. I mean, global trade expands your market and lowers your costs, definitely, but it ruthlessly punishes bad strategy.
So our mission today is to decode those hidden rules from the sources you shared with us for this deep dive. We're unpacking the mechanics, the risks, and, the actual strategies of international business.
Exactly. It's a huge topic.
So if producing everything locally is a massive drain on resources, how do countries decide what to actually make themselves?
Well, that decision dictates the entire global playing field. And it actually hinges on our word of the day, which is comparative advantage.
Comparative advantage. Okay, break that down for us.
So countries basically specialize in what they produce most efficiently and cheaply, and then they trade for the rest. Take India and Vietnam, for example.
Right, they have huge textile industries.
Exactly. They have a comparative advantage in labor-intensive clothing production, so they focus their capital there rather than, trying to build every single high-tech component from scratch.
That makes sense. It's kind of like a software company where your lead developer is also the fastest typist in the office.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Right. Just because she can do data entry faster than an intern doesn't mean she actually should. Her opportunity cost of not coding is way too high.
Yeah, she needs to specialize in coding and trade for the data entry. Everyone wins. And that macro-level specialization, that's what drives global wealth.
And we measure the health of this global neighborhood through the balance of trade, right?
We do, yeah. But the real hidden engine there is the exchange rate. When a country's currency depreciates, foreign buyers suddenly get, more local currency for their own dollar or euro.
Wait, really? So American goods, for instance, become a massive bargain on the global stage.
Exactly, which mechanically drives up U.S. export volume. It's all connected.
I hear the theory, but looking at the real world, it feels like a bit of a paradox. Like, if comparative advantage and currency fluctuations naturally balance out to a universal win, why do we see so much protectionism?
That's the big question right there.
Because when governments slap tariffs, taxes on imports to protect an infant industry, aren't they essentially forcing the everyday consumer to subsidize that local industry's growth through higher prices?
You're hitting on the eternal tension in global economics. Protectionism helps specific local industries get on their feet, or it shields domestic jobs from massive global players.
But it hits the consumer's wallet.
You're spot on. It almost always raises prices at the checkout counter. And because governments constantly tweak these barriers like tariffs and quotas, we actually rely on international referees to keep the playing field from collapsing into chaos.
Referees, you mean institutions like the World Trade Organization, the WTO?
Yes, exactly. The WTO steps in to resolve disputes by enforcing binding trade rules. You might remember the famous multi-billion-dollar clash over government subsidies between Boeing and Airbus.
Right, that was huge. So without an enforcer, those disputes would just spiral into endless trade wars.
Exactly. And alongside the WTO, you have the World Bank, which funds physical infrastructure in developing nations.
And then there's the IMF, right?
Yeah, the International Monetary Fund. It acts as a financial safety net. It provides liquidity when a country's economy crashes. Together, they engineer the stability required for trade to happen at all.
So knowing those rules and the referees, the next step is how an individual company actually steps onto the field.
And that all comes down to a sliding scale of risk. Exporting lets you test the waters with minimal capital at stake.
But if you want total control, you move toward direct foreign investment, right? Like actually buying or building facilities in another country.
Yeah, it's the ultimate high-risk, high-reward play. We can actually see this in the Target and Domino's puzzle we started with.
Oh, right. Let's go back to that. Domino's used local master franchisees, didn't they?
They did. That lower risk strategy allowed them to seamlessly adapt to local tastes and logistics. Target, on the other hand, went all in with direct foreign investment in Canada.
Assuming their domestic blueprint would just translate perfectly across the border.
Exactly. They didn't adjust to the local supply chain realities, and, well, it costs them billions.
Wow. So expanding across a border is really about matching your entry strategy to the local political and cultural reality.
That's the main takeaway. Specialization creates value, and global referees try to keep trade flowing, but you have to actively manage your entry risks.
And the landscape is shifting dramatically, isn't it? As emerging economic powerhouses like China and India transition from being just, resource hubs or manufacturing centers to becoming fierce, innovative, global competitors themselves.
It's changing everything about how we look at international business.
Yeah, so I'll leave you with this to mull over as we wrap up this deep dive. As those massive players rewrite the rules of innovation, will the traditional low-risk methods of global expansion even be enough to survive in tomorrow's marketplace? Or is the puzzle of crossing borders about to get a whole lot harder?